My name is Michael. I'm a senior in college, about to graduate, and luckily, I received a job offer before summer, so I'm working part-time at a leisurely patch while living in my parents' home. However, my mom is strict, so I anticipate she'll nag me, saying, "Michael, don't just lie around. Isn't there something you should be preparing for your new job?" To prepare for my new role in sales, I've started reading books on sales techniques, making the most of my time. As a solo traveler, I spent a few days abroad, interacting with people from various countries. I've often found my strict mom to be a hassle since I was young, but recently, I've started to feel a bit grateful for her ways. On a certain summer day, a memory always comes back to me around this season. I wonder if it was this hot on the day I met him. That day, as I left my house, planning to go to the library, these thoughts crossed my mind. Then, my attention was drawn to a fancy black car parked in front of an apartment near my home. Glancing over, I saw a man in a black suit, despite the heat, wearing a flashy shirt, standing next to the car. It appeared that he was looking my way. Why here, a gangster? Probably. This apartment is old. Maybe they are planning to demolish it for a hideout. That's a bit sad and scary. The apartment, unoccupied for a long while, holds some sentimental value for me. Well, I should just leave quickly. Thinking this, I hurried away, but then I heard a man's deep voice saying, "Excuse me." With just the gangster and me around, it was clear who was speaking to whom. Why me? Wanting to run but afraid of being chased, I had no choice but to turn and respond. "Jess, what is it?" I replied, avoiding eye contact. Then, the man calmly said, "I'm looking for someone." Are they looking for someone dangerous? I haven't seen anyone like that around here. While thinking this, all I could do was listen and respond with, "I'm looking for someone named Mr. Johnson." Hearing this, I froze. Johnson, that's my family, but I have no idea why a gangster would be looking for us. Is there another Johnson family I don't know about? Unsure of what to say, my confusion was apparent. Seeing my reaction, the gangster leaned in to look at my face. Scary. But I haven't done anything wrong. As I stood frozen, he asked, "Are you Michael Johnson?" Hearing my name, my heart almost leaped out of my chest, but the gangster's eyes behind his sunglasses didn't seem too menacing, which calmed me down a bit. Then he took off his sunglasses and said, "It's me, David. David Smith. Do you remember me?" Dave. Hearing that, I was even more surprised. Because he was the very person I had been thinking about until just a moment ago. Going back 15 years, to one summer. Back then, I was a timid, quiet 7-year-old boy. I had friends, but not many. I wasn't bullied, but I would rather read books in the classroom than play in the schoolyard. So, I only saw Dave, a big, silent boy from another class, as scary. Not just me, probably most kids at that time avoided him, thinking the same. I never thought I'd interact with him. But one day, on my way home from school, eager to show my mom the family portrait I drew in class, I was running with the drawing in hand. But I stumbled on a small stone and fell, accidentally letting go of the drawing paper. The drawing paper was swept away by the wind, crossing over the riverbank right next to me and heading towards the river. I panicked and chased after it, but couldn't make it in time, and the paper fell into the river. Fortunately, it didn't sink and was just floating on the surface of the water. I decided to go get it and stepped into the river. Just then, a loud voice called out from the riverbank, "Hey, what are you doing?" Startled, I looked up to see Dave standing there. Surprised to be addressed, I watched as Dave quickly descended the riverbank to stand beside me. After I explained the situation, Dave said, "You're short, so I'll go get it," and waded into the river. Even Dave, who I estimate is about 20 centimeters taller than me, was in water up to his knees, so it might have been quite dangerous for me. I expressed my gratitude to Dave when he safely returned with the painting. The painting was a bit waterlogged but still recognizable. After that, it turned out Dave was heading the same way home, so we walked back together for the first time. I was a bit happy to know that Dave, who doesn't stand out much, was aware of me. Simple as I am, that alone made me feel a closeness to Dave and a desire to befriend him. Though reticent, Dave didn't ignore me and answered each question I asked. "What kind of painting did you make, Dave?" I was referring to the family painting he had just picked up. Dave showed me the painting without much change in expression. It depicted a man with a beard, wearing green clothes. "Your father?" When I asked that, Dave just nodded. I was a bit surprised. In my family painting, I had drawn myself, my mom, and my dad. I had always thought family meant drawing everyone. So, I was shocked to see that Dave's painting didn't even include himself. Looking back, this was a reflection of Dave's home environment, but I was too oblivious at the time to notice. After that, Dave and I grew closer, eventually walking to and from school together. As we moved up in grades and ended up in the same class, our friendship deepened even more. The closer I got to Dave, the more I noticed him being avoided by our classmates. It seems that apart from my perception of him as big and scary, there was also an impression of him being poor and dirty. Indeed, it seemed like Dave only had about 2 outfits. That's why they were pilled and had small holes in them. Honestly, I hadn't really noticed until Dave started coming over to my house, and then my mom pointed it out. She said to Dave, "Could you lend me that t-shirt for a moment?" Dave looked puzzled by her words, but after he took off his t-shirt, my mom dressed him in one of my dad's t-shirts. She then brought out her sewing kit, and I immediately understood what she was planning to do. She was mending the holes in the t-shirt. By the time Dave was ready to leave, the t-shirt had been neatly repaired. "Look at you, even more handsome now." After Dave put on the mended t-shirt, my mom playfully patted his back and said with a beaming smile. Dave seemed really happy, and seeing that made me happy too. I later learned that Dave lived with his father in a single-parent household. His dad worked as a construction worker and left early in the morning, returning only late at night. His dad never cooked, so their meals were mostly takeout. Moreover, since Dave was usually asleep by the time his dad got home, he'd eat the takeout pizza for breakfast and have school lunch for midday. They often skipped dinner. That was their usual routine. After hearing this from Dave, my mom started making extra dinner for him every day. Growing up as an only child, I was thrilled to feel like I had a sibling, and Dave was delighted too, his eyes shining as he exclaimed, "Can I really have all this treat?" However, Mom wasn't always this kind. Gradually, she even started nagging Dave just like she did with me. "Michael, Dave, did you do your homework?" In my room, as usual, the two of us were playing video games when Mom came in and asked. "Not yet. We'll do it later," we said, reluctantly, putting off our homework. Mom said, "Don't keep putting things off. It's better to get what needs to be done out of the way first, so you can enjoy your fun times." Hearing that, I grudgingly took out my textbooks from my backpack. But Dave said, "I'll do it when I get home," and kept his eyes on the game. Then Mom stood in front of the TV like a guardian deity and said, "You won't do it when you're alone. It's quicker when you two work together. Dave, come on, get out your textbook." Intimidated by Mom's forcefulness, Dave weakly responded, "Okay," and stopped playing the game to start on his homework. This was how we spent our time, just like a real family. I always thought we would continue to spend time together like this. I guess I had always assumed it, but it was the summer when we were in 5th grade. Dave was moving away from his busy dad's place to live with his grandpa in a distant town. We all considered Dave a part of our family, but we couldn't object to the decision made by his real family. On the first day of summer vacation, I could only say goodbye to Dave, who came to bid us farewell, holding back my tears. Mom, tears streaming down her face, hugged Dave and said, "Your place is always here with us. We are always on your side, Dave. You'll be fine wherever you go. You can live strongly and kindly. I guarantee it." Dave was looking down, perhaps crying as well. Finally, I managed to say to Dave, "Make sure you come back, okay?" as I watched his tall figure walk away. Then, during winter and spring breaks, Dave came to visit, but after that, we lost touch for 15 years, leaving me completely unaware of how he was doing. Seeing Dave in front of me, I was filled with disbelief before even feeling happy. "It's great to see you're doing well," I said. Dave smiled back, his face marked with vivid scars, but it was still unmistakably him. "You too," I replied. Then he asked, "Is your mom doing well? I came today to express my gratitude to Michael's family." "Yes, she's fine. She's actually at home now, so let's go together," I suggested. I was urged to get into Dave's car and nervously settled into the luxurious vehicle, parking it nearby. Riding in Dave's car for the first time, I was struck by its urban scent, a vivid reminder of how time has passed. From there, it took just a few minutes to reach my house. Because it had been remodeled, the house's exterior looked quite different from before, which made Dave say, "That's why I didn't recognize it." As I opened the door, Mom, noticing our arrival, came out and said, "Back so soon from the library. Did you forget something?" She then saw Dave standing behind me, looking surprised and pausing for a moment. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if the man behind me was indeed Dave. "It's been a long time. I'm David." Dave introduced himself, just as he had done to me. Dave introduced himself to me in the same manner. "Really, Dave? Come on in," Mom exclaimed, clearly recognizing him. It seemed that Mom had indeed realized who he was. Encouraged by Mom, we headed to the living room. There, Dave shared with us the story of his life since the day we had parted. In the city he moved to, the middle school students were much rougher than anything we could imagine here. When Dave became a middle schooler, his tall and intimidating appearance made him a target. Dave himself never had the desire to become strong or to fight, but in school, he continued to be avoided and feared, just as in elementary school. The only people who approached him were those with similar intimidating looks, involved in bad activities. Haunted by the loneliness that our separation had brought, Dave ended up hanging out with the wrong crowd, and by the time he graduated high school, he had gotten involved with the gangstar through his friends. Dave didn't dislike the world he found himself in, as it was more humane than he had imagined, but he felt hesitant to visit our family, walking an outlaw's path. "I've always been worried that I'd be a disappointment. My childhood hero was a treasure to me, and I was scared that I'd somehow tarnish what I am now. But today, I just happened to pass by and couldn't help stopping in," he said. Despite his tough appearance, Dave looked incredibly anxious and somehow smaller. The world Dave spoke of felt so far removed from my life as an ordinary college student. I had no idea what to say to him. Though we're both 22, it's clear we've walked entirely different paths to get here today. "What are you talking about?" That was Mom's voice. At her words, Dave looked up at her. "You chose your own path, right? If you believe in it, there's no need to feel guilty." Saying this, Mom tightly grasped Dave's hand. "And didn't I tell you before? No matter what happens, we are waiting for you. As long as you are you, we will always be family." Mom said this in the same gentle voice she had always used. Hearing her words, Dave, who had been looking down, began to shake his shoulders, indicating he was probably crying. Seeing this, I felt like I was about to cry too. Despite his seemingly intimidating appearance, Dave must have carried a lot of burdens alone. "Welcome back, Dave." I said this and gently placed my hand on Dave's shoulder. Despite it being 15 years since we last spent time together, The warmth between us was palpable. Then, another 5 years passed. At 27, I recently married a woman I met at work, and we are expecting a child in 6 months. We're expecting a child in 6 months. And Dave, it seems, turned his life around soon after that day, starting work as a civil construction worker, just like his father had done. He got married 2 years ago when his first child was born, and now he is blessed with a lovely 2-year-old daughter and a newborn baby, just 2 months old. Now living in the same county, we gather at my parents' house for holidays like Open and New Year's, enjoying a close family bond. Dave, in a way, is a role model for me as a father, despite his tough and intimidating appearance. He's all smiles and tenderness in front of his children. I often wonder if I'll be the same way, watching him with admiration. Mom always says, "I'm so happy to have so many grandkids. I could never have made her this happy all by myself." Absolutely. Meeting Dave definitely changed our family. To me, he's like a best friend, a brother, truly an invaluable member of our family. We may not say it out loud, but I hope Dave feels the same way about us. Our family wants to continue sharing these small joys together, turning them into great happiness. That's what I believe.